Rick Stroud covers the Buccaneers for the Tampa Bay Times, and he's kind enough to join us from New Orleans. What were the expectations going into this game, Rick?
I think they were high, Dan. I mean, the problem is you come out of it with the debate is, like, who did Tom Brady remind you of? Which Bucs quarterback? Was it Trent Dilfer, Benny Testaverde, Chris Sims? Like, you just didn't anticipate that, right? He didn't play well, and they didn't play well as a team, obviously, at times, but you just don't expect the pick sixes and, another throw that got away from him over the middle to Mike Evans. And I think you come away saying, this is going to be a difficult task. You knew that going in, but it might be harder than we even anticipated just because, he seems to be caught in the middle. He didn't look like Tom Brady checking the ball down, getting it out of his hands quickly. And yet he also didn't really drive the ball down the field. He's sort of stuck there. And I just think it's going to be a much harder process maybe even than he expected, especially with no preseason games, no training camp or off-season work and that kind of thing.
What was Brady like post-game?
Well, he was very somewhat Belichickian, very Patriot-like. He took the blame, for everything, including coronavirus and Hurricane Sally or whatever is approaching. I mean, it was, if nothing else, he's accountable. We know that. And, he was sullen. I mean, he wasn't happy with anything they did. And, I think the players, he's been very upbeat, in practice, very positive with guys. He's got nicknames for all of them, Scooter and, and Juice and all this, and that's great. But they found out what the real Tom Brady is like when things aren't going well on the field. And I think practice is going to have a little different tenor to it this week than it did before.
But you have to temper the expectations, though, Rick. You're on the road against an established team, a team that people are looking at as a Super Bowl contender, that they didn't have many off-season acquisitions, and it is game one.
Yes, it is game one, and we're in the overreaction Monday business. So that's what I'm trying to hype this up, Dan. We can't have nice things in Tampa. I keep telling you. You want to talk about the Lightning? I mean, I don't know what to say. I mean, I've seen this movie, and it always ends badly. I mean, here's the thing. We expect it to be better. The one thing they have going for them maybe is the schedule. I mean, they got Carolina, which has a new program, and Teddy Bridgewater, who was the other guy they would have signed if Brady didn't. And then they go to Denver, and then they, after that, and then they've got, the Chargers at home. So maybe they can get, in 3 weeks we're talking, and they're 3-1 and right back in the division race. But you just never want to put that kind of product. I just think there were so many expectations and so much hype, and I'm wondering what Jameis Winston was thinking as he's watching, Brady throw a pick six going the other way, something he did 7 times last year. Brady's only done it 14 times in the regular season before yesterday.
That was my next question. I was wondering what Jameis was thinking, that, hey, maybe I'm not that bad.
It was a big ego boost for number 2 on the Saints on the sideline. I kept thinking, man, here's the thing. It was so quiet. It's like you hear a jaw drop, right? I mean, in the building, we were there, and you can't imagine between commercial breaks. I mean, the Saints just shut all the noise off. I mean, I heard conversations I don't think I was supposed to hear, but Jameis was probably the loudest cheerleader, and I could recognize his booming voice, and he had a really good time, and he probably came away from there thinking, I'm not as bad a quarterback as even I thought I was. I mean, I recognize the pressures from Donovan Smith, the Matador blocking there, the different things, and so, yeah, it was, he's still number 3 on the Saints depth chart, but, it's sort of, this was every Buck game we've watched for the last 5 years. And I think that's that's sort of the takeaway.
I was surprised that Bruce Arians, he just said Tom didn't play well, and he talked about those 2 interceptions. Bill Belichick doesn't do that. And I don't know, how does Tom Brady take that from his head coach? This wasn't one of those in private, hey, let's talk. It was to the media. So is that who Bruce is going to be to Tom Brady this year?
I think so. I mean, Bruce has always been fairly forthright. I don't think he has, I don't think he minces his words. And it will be interesting to see that because, Belichick was always more team-gauged and although Brady took it on his shoulders too. But what were you going to say? I mean, you had two options. You could say, well, we got to all get better, which is not Bruce's style. But Bruce is of the, tell them their football sucks and hug them up later, Bear Bryant, type philosophy. And win or lose, we booze, right? I mean, he's not going to let this wallow for very long. He'll be upbeat today. And, they did some good things. I thought the defense, at times, if I'd have told you that, Michael Thomas was going to have 3 catches and Drew Brees was going to throw for 160 yards and Alvin Kamara was going to rush for 12 or something like that, you'd say, well, how bad did the Saints lose by? And so there's some good things, but it just didn't happen on offense after that first drive. And Bruce is going to say, the way it is, and the quarterback didn't play well at times.
Yeah, and I was going to follow that up about the Saints, that they didn't play well and they ended up winning.
Right.
But, when you look at the Saints, I mean, they have all the ingredients there. My big question is going to be Drew Brees this year. But what you saw, how formidable will the Saints, or should they be?
Well, I mean, look, Sean Payton's a tremendous play caller. He does some things that gives you problems. I mean, the creative use of Taysom Hill, I think, is still an evolving part of their offense. Kamara is an absolute beast. You have to tackle really well, and I thought the Bucs did that. Not everybody's going to tackle as well as they did yesterday. But as far as, getting the ball down the field, now, if you make a coverage mistake like they did, he's not going to miss those. Those are layups for him. And he got the ball down the field one time. But I'll be interested to see if defenses don't challenge Drew, to go over the top more, to hold on to that thing and see if you can develop something down the field. Because I'm not sure where his arm is at this point. He certainly, like most quarterbacks, don't want to get hit. It's hard to get to him because it's coming out fast. But, look, they still have a ton of weapons over there. Michael Thomas is going to be, catch more than 3 balls in many games. And I think the Saints are a good team. They're good on defense, too. That's the thing that I think people have to realize is that their defense is going to keep them in a lot of games. Keep
your head up, Rick.
Well, I was wearing a mask because of coronavirus. Now I'm trying to stay away from being recognized by Tampa fans, if they happen to be flying back home or something. But, that's just one game.
Safe travels, Rick. We appreciate it. We'll check in with you a little bit later on this season.
Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
Rick Stroud covers the Buccaneers in the NFL for Tampa Bay Times.